शौनको ह वै महाशालो अंगिरसं विधिवधुपसन्न पप्रच्छ कस्मिन्नु भगवो विज्ञाते सर्वमिदं विज्ञातं भवतीति। शौनको ह वै महाशालो अंगिरसं विधिवधुपसन्न पप्रच्छ कस्मिन्नु भगवो विज्ञाते सर्वमिदं विज्ञातं भवतीति। शौनक वै महाशाला. Shaunaka, the famous householder, approached Angirasa. Why did he approach Angirasa? Because Angirasa is the Guru. The student Shaunaka approaching the Guru Angirasa with due orthodoxy. Vidhivat. He doesn't have to be told. He already knows all that. He approaches the Guru with due orthodoxy and asked, "O revered sir, O adorable sir, what having known, kasmin, vijnate, what having known does all this become known? Sarvam idam vijnatam bhavati iti." What having known does all this become known? Look at the depth of the question. Unimaginable depth. I remember my guru used to say that when the student asks the question, I know how much preparation the student has put in. The way you ask the question itself tells me how much have you thought of it, or is it just a superficial inquiry? The depth of the attempt in understanding the subject, how much effort the student has put in before approaching the Guru. That's the trademark of a true student. A true student will not approach a Guru unless and until he has tried his best to understand what that meant. So when you have put in all your effort and then you couldn't understand, that's when you approach a Guru and say, oh, adorable sir. So with due orthodoxy, vidhivat, again, this is tradition, indicating the student has that humility and that adoration to the Guru, that servitude, an attitude of service to the teacher. Whenever you approach a teacher, you must approach the Guru with something to offer. Not that the Guru is expecting, but the student ought to approach. Today, if I tell you to bring something, you will not come. Oh, sir, please. I am not available. Why? Because I'm expected to bring something with me for you. Vanda. Easy to say, I am not available. Huh? In the Prashno Upanishad, as I said, there are many Upanishads. In the Prashno Upanishad, it says the Shishya approached the Guru with Samitpani. Samitpani means firewood. So he approached the Guru with Samitpani. So he went into the woods, chopped a tree, cut the wood, which can be used as firewood, which could serve perhaps the Guru to prepare food, or he wants to perform yajna, or he wants to have fire in the jungle for some warmth and protection. So the student understands what the Guru might need, and he goes with it as a prerequisite even before he being accepted as a student. Look at how much a student has to do even before he receives a knowledge. And in today's era, I have students who comes and tell me, I want to negotiate Guru Dakshina with you. Where is that? Where are we? You are disqualifying yourself. No Guru will disqualify you. Now, the question I want to ask you all is, on what basis does a student become famous? More so, he says he's a famous householder. Mahashalaha. Havai. Shaunako. Havai. Havai means famous. Mahashalaha means a householder. So I think we all have a place in spiritual path now, thanks to this mantra. Otherwise, we all might think we are disqualified. We are all in the thick and thin of samsara. Ayyo, what to do? Not only have I got children, I've got grandchildren also. Now all this samsara I've got into. I must now not only think of my children, I think of my grandchildren also. Save for them, buy for them, protect for them. Attachment, deep attachment. If there are no attachments, it makes it easy. But no, a famous householder. Now, what do you think made Chaunaka so famous? Now, you don't need to know history here to answer this question. Neither do I. But philosophically, how does a householder become so fit, so ideal as a student for receiving this Brahma Vidya? So much so the text glorifies the student. In fact, it didn't glorify the Guru so far. The student is glorified. If you watch the three mantras, the Guru is not glorified. He just says he gave it to him, he gave it to him, he gave it to him, full stop. But this student is a famous student. Maybe we should do a little research on who Shaunaka was. It's worth spending some time. But before getting into the what is the background of him, but what made him famous? Why does the text qualify? SR.
Pranam Guruji. Is it because of his, I can say, put in a simple word, his devotion, Guruji, of learning?
I will not say no, but it begins with devotion. See, the cue you got to get from is he's a householder. And yet he sought this wisdom. So what is it that as a householder seeking this wisdom was not common those days?
It's something like, is overcome the desires and attachments of the family affairs and the household rituals, and is dedicated his attentions towards the learning. Is as good as sannyasi, where he's talking about. That's where his enormous amount of dedication, which he's trying to incultivate himself to be part of an absolute shisha in the process of learning the things.
Yes, yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, sir. Let me hear from others as well. Yes, you're right. Amitama.
Hari Om Guruji. Yes, I was going to say the same thing. It could be that Saunaka now has come to a point where he's exhausted or he has completed his family obligations, and he is now, preparing himself for the next stage of his spiritual journey.
When do you ever finish family obligation? I would like to know if there is something I would like to apply for that.
Yes, sir, you're right. So it's not a physical obligation that he has given up, but maybe that attachment that he needs to do and preoccupied with, the obligation. So in his mind, or, he's detached. He does it, but it's not something that preoccupies him. So he's ready to move on to take on the higher, the higher spiritual goals of seeking the knowledge. You're right, sir. Physically, we can't really give up till the last day of our lives. Yeah.
Don't use that to justify her.
Yeah.
All right.
Your first question just now about as students of this knowledge for so long, have we seen ourselves move away or change, and that got me thinking that yes, the absorption and the obligation. There used to be a time where I felt that I couldn't not go to a party because it's a family affair, But today I'm quite comfortable saying that, okay, I'll just go for that 1 hour or so, and then I exit and I do my own thing with a clear conscience, And yeah, so those are changes. So I suppose that is what Saunaka, the famous householder, does exquisitely, so that he is able to move on to the next phase.
I want to see Amita, the famous householder, not just going to the party and coming away in 1 hour.
I hope so too, sir. My resolution for 23.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you. Vijayji, what do you think? What made Saunaka the famous householder?
Pranam Guruji. I don't have very much to add, but possibly he was the first one to break the tradition of wanting to know, and possibly the first one after learning continued, as still as a householder physically, and however enlightened he was. I mean, which is nothing but I'm only adding to what I'm somehow saying, which was unknown possibly at that point of time. And which explains what a true detachment is. I don't have much to add beyond.
No, you're reiterating. You're right. It's like the famous Siddhartha. He became the great Buddha. Why? Because he had that capacity. What made him famous was the fact that he walked away from royalty. He walked away from his wife, his child, his princely life, and he took on this journey. That made him famous. All these modern gurus, a monk who sold his Ferrari, that fellow became famous because he spun a story around it. First of all, whether is there any truth in it, I do not know. He just tried to market it, and he's made enough money to buy 100 Ferraris for himself. He made millions out of that just by trying to catch the, it's just marketing. That's about all. You're right, sir.
It's only guessing, I suppose.
Sorry?
It's a surmise why would anyone why any householder would become famous?
In fact, why it is because he has saturated his material needs. He was fulfilled. There was no further craving. There is no further wanting. There is no further interest. He had become a symbol of detachment. There is no further value. He didn't give any more value to it. And he was ready to seek this knowledge. And he plunged into it. And that's why he approached the Guru with due orthodoxy. So what makes him ready is that level of detachment. If you ask me, how should what is the quality of a student? A true student is his capacity to be detached. And detachment is nothing but attachment. Detachment is measured by the value you give to the things and beings in the world, the value you give. So what value you give is that which determines your ability to be detached from it. See, if you give a value to something, the result of that is it mentally consumes you, isn't it? It becomes an object of worship. I repeat, whenever you give a value to something, it becomes an object of worship. That when you start worshiping it, it consumes you. Then you don't see anything else other than it. You will all understand that this idea, this proposition of self-realization, this idea of this wisdom is in your lap. You have it with you. Now, how much are you able to withdraw from your worldly activities, from your so-called obligations, and embark on this journey? To what extent can you say no to certain thing and say, no, I want to get onto this? And the moment I say this, then you will say, is it not our duty to perform our obligation, sir? You will desperately look for arguments to justify your necessity to be bound to that. Again, detachment is not physically giving up, it's to shift your attention to something higher. Are you consumed by this approach to the self? You got to ask yourself. So Shaunaka, in a modern language, people from that part of the world would know. US, you all have heard, the whole world has heard what great a leader Lee Kuan Yew was. Lee Kuan Yew is said to be the father of the modern Singapore, what today is, isn't it? Singapore was a patch of land which was part of Malaysia, which got separated. And what Singapore today is thanks to Lee Kuan Yew. So everybody looks up to Lee Kuan Yew as a man of a great leader, great visionary. The many politicians who were with him in his era, who succeeded him prior to him. But why did this man shot to the ranks where he is referred to as the famous politician? Something that he made him famous, isn't it? Some quality he had. What made him famous?
He had a vision.
He envisioned something bigger. And what else he brought to his work?
Dedication.
dedication, and perhaps no nonsense to approach to his work. The kind of integrity, or perhaps that kind of dedication, work ethics he brought to it was unparalleled, unknown in the political field. So today we take mention politicians, and we only don't hold them in that high regard. Why? They don't bring it to that work. They don't bring that integrity or that spirit to that work they perform. Correct, Setuji. No corruption at all. He was no nonsense. That's why I said no nonsense person. Absolutely free of corruption, which is unheard of in the political rung, and what he transformed the complexion of it. So even today, you can claim, I don't know, I don't want to be passing comments, but from my own experience, having, going in and out of the country and doing things there, it's one of the most organized, one of the most streamlined, the most disciplined, most transparent system, I think. I could be wrong, but there could be loopholes here or there, but thanks to what he did. Yeah, Lakshmima? We can't hear you. Have you done anything about it, or? Sorry, ma. Sorry. Just present your thoughts on chat, please. Yeah, Vijayji.
Guruji, I felt that his biggest contribution was because of the fact that he didn't do what was supposed to be popular or good. Whatever he believed, that whatever dedication he had, I think that passion he brought it to bring up the country the way he envisioned it. He didn't go by the, sometimes what you have to do as a duty need not be liked or, enjoyed by everybody. I mean, that kind of dedication is beyond, another level higher.
Yeah.
Especially for a politician.
Yes, sir. Agree with you. So Shaunaka, the famous householder, what made him famous was his detachment. I have enough. How many of you can say, I have enough? I've had enough of this material pursuit, and I'm done with it. Enough is enough. But if I ask this question, when is enough enough? When is enough enough? Ramji?
Sir. I don't know. Today, commonly, I see people not saying enough at all. So I think it's because once you are externally focused, then that enough will never come. So I think only when you direct your focus internal, then that enough will come. But that is a very high level of evolution which you have to mentally go through. But as of now, in the world, there is nothing called enough. So we were just talking the other day that one lady, I don't want to give all the names, but she owns some 200 acres of land and must be worth 300 crores. And still she is litigating with a few of us on some of the land we bought from her. And she has only one daughter who is married and happily settled somewhere. So we were asking this question, how much is enough for this lady? How much 200 crores, 300 crores, 400 crores? That sense of what we call as detachment, but the sense of satisfaction or contentment doesn't come with money. So that is what we have understood, that it doesn't come with money. Because internally, once you are not at peace with yourself, with what you have, then it is always a problem.
So you're right, very well captured, sir. Enough is never enough until your approach is extroverted.
Yeah.
There is no end to your satiation. You can never find contentment with all that you have. Enough will never be enough, because the greed, the desire will keep constantly driving you outward.
Exactly.
And Shaunaka was famous because his needs were met. He was materially satisfied, fulfilled, paripurna. He had enough. And if you had perhaps gone into his life, he would not have had a half an acre land with him, not 200 acres. He would have had a small something running, going. It may not be something substantial, but the quintessential aspect is he was done with that pursuit.
But Guruji, I had a slightly different take on this mantra. I thought that in the first two mantras, he talked only of sages. And so deliberately he brought a householder into the third one to tell everybody that it is a householder who actually got interested in this knowledge and to take it forward, because sages have a limitation of only giving but not practicing, in the sense that you have to practice it as a householder. And the question he asked, I thought, is very similar to the question that somebody will ask when he is in the middle of a crisis, in the sense that what is the way out for me out of this household duties? Maybe, when I first read this, that is the feeling I got, till you all explained that he is detached and then he is completely ready for the next level of knowledge. But I thought that it was a question which somebody will ask when he is in the middle of all the troubles one goes through as a householder, and then trying to figure out a way of salvation. What is my...
Every householder is going through samsaric problems. And
exactly,
if he also
sir.
is going through, how can he be famous, sir? I can't understand. He's famous because he didn't go through. He was above all that.
But yeah, okay. I don't know. Unless you have known his history, then. But purely from the mantra, that's what it looked like to me.
That will be a little too far stretching, sir.
Acha, okay.
Because the scriptures, Upanishads, don't talk of a householder. This is one such relevance where it stands out so profoundly. It needs to be examined in the right light.
But he became famous afterwards, or he became famous as a householder? He became famous because from a householder he came out and asked for this knowledge. Is that why he became famous? Or is it that he was a famous householder before he sought this knowledge?
Sir, I already told you we should do a little bit of Wikipedia on him, sir.
Okay, we will do that, sir. Google must be there. Yeah.
Yes, sir. Hopefully Google knows about Shaunaka. Not a modern Shaunaka, but the ancient Vedic Shaunaka. So it is just to qualify the context. I am not sure what Shaunaka was, But what the context makes it more relevant is in fact, even the 4th chapter, I said Raja Rishihi. So Shaunaka was a Raja Rishihi. That's why I took the reference of the 4th chapter, 2nd verse. He says, this parampara brought this knowledge down to Raja Rishi. Who is Raja Rishi? Like King Janaka, Lord Rama. They all were Dasharatha. All these men were royalties. Means they lived a normal life of a householder. They were in the din and roar of the marketplace, yet they had the wisdom of a sannyasi. Means they were detached to it. So Shaunaka is a Raja Rishi. In that sense, he is a famous.
Okay.
That gives a relevance to all of us because we are all Raja Rishis. Rajas, in fact, wanting to be Raja Rishi. Isn't it? Means from the mundane world, we'll have to inject spirituality into our lives and then become completely detached to the happenings. Again, it's not physical, it's only purely mental. That we understand. Right, sir?
Sir, yes, sir. Thank
Right,
you.
sir. Okay. Oh my God. Amitabh has already sent some. Okay. Please go through this after the class. Otherwise, everybody will be seeing Wikipedia now. Sidhuji, yes, sir, you wanted to say something.
Hari Om Guruji. You posed the question, when is it enough? I feel
Yes, sir.
now, wherever we are, because we are all chosen this path to this. So whatever be our position and status, the answer is now. Because the more we have, it will create more desires. If we, as on date, we have some desires, we fulfill them, it will lead to more. So that will go on.
Sir, I want, I just hold on. I want to bring Sai into the equation. Would Sai agree with what Sidhuji is saying?
Be content with whatever you have right now.
Enough is never enough. And to which Sidhuji is saying, this moment, right now, it should be enough to you. Now, do you feel that same young as you are? You have a long corporate life ahead of you. You have your own dreams and aspirations for yourself and your family. I'm sure this, the material demands and your material aspirations always feel you don't have enough, isn't it?
He can have higher aspirations for higher. See, whatever he is aspiring for is not for him, but for a higher cause. That one can still have. But those who have completed, see, I think the famous householder also, I feel, he has completed all his obligations in properly and all. He's about to maybe embark on Vanaprastha, and he chosen the right time and is contented and
that I don't think will, in fact, will take away the charm from Shaunaka. If you say he's already done everything and then he's a phase of life, then you are going through natural progression. That's not a big deal. That's why I said Prince Siddhartha, he walked away. What was he in the stage of Vanaprastha? He had an infant child. He just walked out of his royal palace. That made Siddhartha famous. So we need to justify why did he become famous. So he did something extraordinary which no other householder would do it. That's why we said Lee Kuan Yew became famous, because he did extraordinary work as a politician to transform the image of a country for generations. The country today, we hold Singapore in such bright light. Everybody looks up to that country as a project which they want to create for themselves. Why? Because that man envisioned something which no other politician in the world could. In the history of a political sphere.
It will apply today as on date, because today even at 80 people have many things lined up. So if someone is aiming at
So it is nothing to do with your age. It's to do with your mental readiness to pursue this knowledge. So it's not with reference to where you are placed, Situji, or where Sai is placed, or where Shivaji is placed, or where Harishi is placed. It's not where or where Harish is placed. It is whether you are ready to turn truly inward and seek it. And in order to turn introverted, you will have to rise above that urge to be extroverted. It's either I go out into the world or I go into the inner world. That choice I got to make. The choice I got to make. You know, just a few days ago, me and Vijay, we were in the car, we were driving to a place, and somehow this discussion came to this context. And what we were echoing exactly this, you know. I'm so blessed that I don't have this urge to go and acquire. And she said, I'm so much with you that what little we are very happy and contented. We don't want to go out into the world, don't want to rush and acquire or procure or get, or this is not there, that is not there. We need to do this and do that. Said, I was so, not that there was any doubt in my head from her perspective, but just the casual dialogue we had was, what little we have, we are content with it. Whatever needs to be provided. Come few years, Vaishti will get married. My mother will say, hey, you must procure this, you must get that for her, you must do this for her. What is there is there. We are very content with what is there. Yeah. No anxiety at all. There is no restlessness at all. Never was there. And so comfortable to have that kind of a discussion with your life partner, to say that there is no want, there is no anxiety. That kind of saturation can happen in anybody's life at any stage. And as Ramji said, it can only happen when you go inward. As Setuji said, it is this moment now. So if you don't experience it now, you may never experience it in your life. And Shaunaka felt that he was ready. See, the fact that we are analyzing that point where your journey begins is so important. We have not even gone into the text. We have not even gone into the actual teachings. That may be perhaps pure academic. The subject matter you and I may know, but am I really qualified to embark on it and personalize it and make it your own? That is far more relevant than the actual text itself. Actual context is more important than what the teachings are. Otherwise, it will fall on deaf ears. Amitama, anything I may say, you will not clinch it, no? You will not be able to grasp it, and you will not be able to clinch it and use this opportunity. Why? To that extent, you're not ready. To that extent, you are still extrovertedly running around. When you are ready for it, it's enough to. Like other day, there was an interview, and I was telling that when I first happened, my first formal exposure to spirituality means I attended a spiritual lecture. The very first spiritual lecture pulled me out of what I was doing, and I plunged into this. One evening, in the first few minutes of the lecture, I decided. First few minutes, I didn't have to listen the entire 1.5 hours. I remember the first few minutes itself was as if a new world has opened up to me. It just means how ready I was to plunge into it. How much time do you need to trigger you into this journey? That tells how ready you are. Nothing great. I'm only saying it's whether you're saturated to it, to the world, or still interested for the world, then to that extent you're not ready for this knowledge. Yes, Harish.
Hari Om Guruji.
Hari Om.
Guruji, your question, when enough is enough, is very, very interesting. And I have, just through my observations of my life and just life in general, most people don't feel enough is enough because I've understood, or from my perception, most people are insecure. They don't have enough faith in themselves. So they are made to believe that without wealth and acquisition, they cannot survive. That is their belief system. So they go on fighting and chasing. Hence, for those people who feel insecure, it's never ever going to be enough for them. And to make that change, it requires a paradigm shift totally on the mindset of the person. And we are very, very blessed to have this knowledge to be able to get out of that zone and come to this kind of a paradigm shift. But generally, people out there are very insecure, so they believe they cannot survive without it. They have no faith.
It's good to pursue this field when you are materially provided for. When everything is provided for, everything is there, then I will plunge into it, is also a sort of a comfort zone. I'm not saying to be foolish, but if you really put yourself to test, irrespective of the world, whether you can find that security coming from within, the true security is within. I may find myself little more secure with reference to the material world, you may say, but there have been stages of the sadhana where I tell you, my sadhana could have ended then and there. If I had not done tapas, if I had not gone through that determination, it would have ended long ago. So you're right, Harish. The world find security in the wealth of the world. And what you rightly observe is any amount of external wealth cannot give you internal security.
Oh.
And what's the logic behind it? What's the rationale behind it?
External wealth cannot give you internal security because it's people, human nature out there, Guruji, is that the snares of 99, they always feel it's the last one that's going to solve the issue. The last thing. But it never ends. The desires never end. It's a constant chase of their desires. If one thing is completed, another project starts. So the project for them never ends because it's a constant acquisition. They feel, okay, I've just got this, I need one more, and just one more. It's the snares of 99. They're caught in that, people are caught in that zone. And another observation, Guruji, I have observed during the coronavirus globally in the last 3 years, when the world shut down on their travels and outings and shopping or eating and dining and movies or whatever. Now that the world has opened up, I am observing that the world is going on a revenge mode outside. They are going back to traveling and eating like they've never eaten or traveled before. There's a revenge spending going on. There's revenge traveling going on. There's revenge outings going on. They call it revenge because people have been so suppressed for 3 years, locked in their houses or their countries, that once the markets have opened up to them, they are just going all out. And that's another observation I've made, that the people can't hold. Many people just they are so suppressed, they had to go out and just back into the fold in the world to a very revengeful level because the suppression.
Watch out.
Ate them up.
Harish, watch out. The virus is always going to take a revenge very soon.
So there's another observation, Guruji. This
You
has also
fellows-
taught me
You
a
fellows
lot.
need to no, you fellows need to go more introverted. Again, you fellows are extroverted. So virus is going to come and teach us a lesson again to us. Again, go introverted.
So these are observations I have made of the world, of the people out there. Just an observation.
Absolutely right. Right. You're right, Harish. In fact, the technical point which Rajima has rightly said, the law which supports the point that anything material cannot give you internal security or peace is anything gross cannot control or influence the subtle. Mental peace or security is subtle, and material wealth is a gross, tangible thing. So gross cannot control or influence the subtle. Well, the moment you understand that and experience it, you will tap that kingdom of heaven within you.
Yes.
Okay, right. Yes, Vijayji.
Guruji, extending this, can there be a case of somebody being happy with what he or she has and then seeks enlightenment? But in which case, I mean, first of all, I mean, by whatever we discussed, it isn't possible because nothing is ever enough. You know, if you continue that pursuit. Second is, if somebody who is very contented and pursuing the path to enlightenment, will that person have enough passion and dedication? Unless you feel a void and a drive inside, I mean, will we really seek and give full dedication? I mean, can there be a case of someone say, okay, let me, now I have everything, let me get on with learning this?
That by itself, just because, see, the world by itself is not enough. You may say, I have a 4-bedroom villa. Is that by itself enough to satisfy? Your desires can be skyrocketing. I don't have a farmhouse. Then you want to build a 5-acre farmhouse for yourself. You have a farmhouse. When you say, I want a holiday home in a hill resort, then it goes on. Then something keeps dragging you on and on and on. It's ad infinitum. So that by itself, externally, there's nothing as enough. It is the spiritual readiness of a seeker where he finds saturation with little. So what we have achieved to a relative extent is we are content with very little. Now, my goal is to be content with nothing, as minimal as possible. You're content with it. Where there is no pressure within you. Like Rajima was mentioning, Rajima, other day we were mentioning Gayatri Maharaj. The whole calendar year 2022, we were talking of certain events, whether it be corporate or education events. Not a single event was done. Not a single event. And this is the last day of 2022. The previous year, we had done some events. And this year, not a single event was done. Nor was there any revenue nor remuneration, nothing that has happened. I'm just being matter of fact. They were mentioning, it didn't strike me. I had to verify that. Am I right, Rajima? You said that, isn't it true? True. Now, did it make me any less pressurized? I'm not trying to impress you, sir. I'm just trying to be factual. There's nothing that I find, nothing has come our way because of that effort did not happen. I mean, the result did not happen. Efforts were being put in, but it did not materialize. The whole year, not a single event has happened. A specific event. Many other events have happened. That event which brings in some resources to the foundation did not happen whole year. So the organization has been running in the goodwill of you people, what you people give donation, the foundation is running. Not a single fundraising event has happened. How would it should certainly cause some kind of ripple, frustration or disappointment or concern in my heart and head, isn't it? Nothing, sir. So I should be mentally at ease. And I hope it is not tamas, because I'm continuing to do what I can do. I'm continuing to do and continuing to strive to be better of myself. As Harishji says, to be a polished version of yourself. I'm trying to be a better polished version of myself every day. In spite of that, things don't happen. It doesn't dampen me, because I am santrupti. I am satisfied within myself. So it is a spiritual state. I believe I'm trying to connect to what you're saying. That
Guruji, I think I was about, possibly I didn't explain it properly or express it. What you're saying is that the detachment and the contentment, which means you are already part of the realization is there, or full of it. I mean, I wouldn't like to put proportions there. You are already contented, which means that there is no strong urge again to start looking for contentment, isn't it?
Sir, work should, yes, I'm relatively contented. You can qualify it, relatively contented. If I'm absolutely contented, I might ascertain moksha. But it is, but what drives you is your goal. What inspires you is a sattvic action, is an inspired action. A rajasic action is a frenzied action. So when you're inspired by a higher cause, you should necessarily be contented. A rajasic person is not contented. He is frenziedly performing action. That's the difference between rajasic action and sattvic action. We are saying we are relatively contented. We may not have much to be content with. We are content, but yet there is inspiration to serve this knowledge to a larger cause.
Okay.
So I have a vision. I have envisioned how should this knowledge be pitched in? Where should it be pitched in? I have envisioned it. It may take time for it to be a reality, but yet I'm not operating out of frustration. I'm operating out of contentment. And that contentment comes from your inner growth. As an institution, we may be still small and growing, yet to achieve. But I should not find satisfaction in that. I must find satisfaction from within and let that radiate in the work you do. And am I inspired? Yes, because I have envisioned a larger cause. I realize that I don't become a Christ overnight. One doesn't become an evolved soul or a perfect individual, right? So it's a process. So we're working on it, but that doesn't mean I must operate from imperfection every stage. No, I must try to be as balanced, as settled as I can, irrespective of things happening or not happening.
It's good.
All right, sir. Oh, adorable sir, what having known does all this become known? Kasminnu bhagavo vijñāte sarvamidam vijñātam bhavatiti. So the question, the spirit of the question, what is asking is, what is that unconditioned consciousness? What is that pure consciousness with which I become conscious of all that I know? As the great Ramana says, you are that pure I, isn't it? You are that I, that's all. There's nothing else. Everything else is conditioning and distorting and qualifying that pure I. So the question is, what is that? Having known, what is that pure state, that supreme consciousness? Everything else I become conscious of. So in effect, he's asking, what is that? What is that Brahman? What is that reality? What is that pure consciousness? So he is not interested in anything else except Brahman. That's what is the beauty. The student Shaunaka, a famous householder, is only interested. I want to know what that pure Brahman is. Give me that Atma Vidya. Give me that Brahma Vidya. Give me that knowledge of the pure consciousness, the supreme consciousness, the supreme knowledge. Which is exactly in the first mantra, the Guru mentions it. Sabbrahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratishtham Atharvaya Jeshta Putraya Praha. The first mantra he says, isn't it? Brahma Vidyam Sarva Vidya Pratishtham. This Brahma Vidya, this knowledge of Brahman is Sarva Vidya Pratishtham. It is the foundation of all knowledge. So perhaps since he heard from the Guru saying Brahma Vidya is the Sarva Vidya Pratishtham, the student is asking, tell me what that Brahma Vidya is, which is the foundation of all knowledge. So he clinched that. The moment the Guru mentioned it, he clinched it and said, I want to know what that is. It talks of his readiness to know what that Brahman is. Ramji, this is the only way we can justify that what is intended in the words is implied in the interpretation. You get it, sir? You know, in the first mantra, the Guru says that, isn't it, sir?
Yes, sir.
So he is just, having heard from the Guru, the student clinches it and asks it, what is it that I need to know? So you are changing your interpretation, sir?
Yes, sir. In half an hour, my understanding has improved.
That is,
Thank you, sir.
just tells how ready you are, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Right, wonderful. Thank you. We'll come back and we shall continue. Okay. Thank you. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.